Okay, recording started. So we are looking at production planning and execution. This is a module, an SAP module called PP. This is the part where it handles the different information that is being thrown by the organization that is related to the production of what they are involved with. For GBI, for this particular situation, we're going to have a look at how bicycles is being produced. Okay, so what are some of the necessary earlier processes and also post processes that needed to be done when those bicycles are needed to be produced? It's not just in terms of making sure that the bicycles are being produced correctly, but in terms of SAP, the concern is more in terms of optimizing the production process, making sure that at the end, the company doesn't loses money, and also making optimized income when they are producing something. So this part we can skip, the author, and also the learning objective. So here we're going to look at the manufacturing process cycle, starting from planning of manufacturing until you produce something and reviewing back the manufacturing process. And also we're going to have take a look at some of the basics of production planning. Okay, because in terms of here, for SAP, it's not, okay, for this particular case, for GBI, it's not in terms of making sure that the physical production process is correct. No, because currently for GBI, the production process involves physical human assembling the bicycle. So those things cannot be recorded 100% in the system. So in terms of here, for this particular situation, we're going to be having a look at some of the preparations that is needed before the production starts, and also some of the process that is being done after the production has been ended. So first part, there is multiple processes, production planning. So manufacturing execution usually is basically, the common one is discrete manufacturing, where you produce something, okay? And then we have repetitive manufacturing, where the production line runs 24/7, whereby the production line doesn't stop, everything is machinery, it needs to be fed and it needs to be managed, such as the production of cookies, for example. Something that is fully automated. Usually repetitive manufacturing is something that is fully automated. So in terms of here, common practice of producing a finished product, an ongoing production line that is running 24/7, and also in terms of here, another example is basically Kanban. That is basically a scheduled manufacturing for just-in-time manufacturing. This is where you want to produce something that is just in time. This is basically based on time base that is needed for the product to be produced. And currently in terms of here, this is all on a need-to-know basis, because currently this subject doesn't have final exam. Okay. And also this is not inside your final assessment. So we're going to look at the organization structure, master data, the process, and also the final part, we're not going to be having a look at it. This is basically something that is much more core in terms of SAP knowledge. For here, basically for this subject, we are still involved with introducing the different business processes. Okay, so the rest up here, some of them you already seen this in previous business process. It's involved client, company code, plant, storage location, but the one that is particularly unique for production planning, that is work center location. This is basically the physical, the data that is about the physical location where the assembly of certain products is involved. Okay, so before this, during the previous lab case study, you usually use MI00, Miami plant, and also SD00, San Diego. So when you do production planning, you're going to be involved with Dallas, DL00, because Dallas plant is the production plant. Miami and San Diego are basically plants for storing goods that is for sales. Okay, just having a look back, just to be clear, we are more concerned on the part where it's in the US, not in German. So basically, if you look at here, in Dallas plant, you have raw material, RM, semi-finished good, SF, finished good, FG, and also miscellaneous goods, MI. So for MI and also SD, Miami and also San Diego, you involve with different material that is trading goods, finished goods, miscellaneous. So basically, what you involve with before this are basically all of it that is involved in terms of sales or purchasing of trading goods. That is what you have done in terms of SD, business process, and also material management, business process. Some of the master data is basically for example, material. Materials are the ones that you have created inside material management case study. So it's the unique defined material that you have done inside MM. So basically, we're not going to be reusing chain locks, but we're going to be using deluxe touring bike, 3 different colors during your case study. Another one is basically bill of material. This is a master data where it will list the list of materials needed to assemble a finished product, depending on what is the production line is. If it's, for this example, currently I'm not sure what are the other products that is being assembled in Dallas plant, but currently for your case study, you're going to be assembling 3 different bikes. Sorry, not 3 different bikes, similar bikes, but just 3 different color. You're going to be assembling a white deluxe touring bike, a black deluxe touring bike. Is it silver or white? Need to recheck. Silver or white, black, and also a red deluxe touring bike. So bill of material is going to be a master data that is going to be listing the different materials or different components that is needed to assemble a finished bike. We're going to be looking at it on future slides later. Routing is basically a step-by-step instruction of product assembly. So these are one of the production planning master data. So you have the material, the unique material, you have a list of material that is needed to assemble a bicycle, and also you will be needing an instruction, a routing of how does the product needs to be assembled. What is step 1? What is step 2? What is step 3? And then the next master data, I consider this as the last master data. This is basically just something of a view function inside SAP where you can group different material or different products into one view inside the system. Okay, we're not going to be discussing that. Work center is basically defining the resources of a product line, such as the location of the product line, the people who are involved with, the equipment, the machinery, the hazardous material. Depends, it's going to be a lot, but currently in terms of bicycles, you have people, you have the equipment, you have the machinery that is needed to assemble the bicycle itself. Okay, material master record, if you notice in terms of for this view here, is involved with the input that is inside MRP, Material Requirements Planning 1, 2, 3, and 4. This will be the one that is related to your production planning. So during the earlier stages, you define this during material management case study where you define MRP 1, 2, and 3, if I'm not mistaken, for your chain locks. But that material doesn't require assembly. Why? Because that is considered, when you define the material, is being labeled as trading goods. So basically you buy the things from the vendor and then you're going to sell it immediately. No necessary assembly is needed and packaging and everything. So let us have a look at bill of material. Bill of material is basically listing down the components that make up for product assembly. So here you notice these are the different items or different components that is needed for the assembly of a deluxe touring bike. So you have wheel, frame, gears, seat, handle, pedal, chain, brakes, warranty, and also the packaging, the boxes that is going to be, you're going to be basically putting in the bicycle, okay? So this is just a view of what you're going to see in terms of when you go inside the SAP system. You're going to see bill of material, okay, boom. I know that it's being called boom. So these are the list of things that is inside the SAP system. This is what you're going to be viewing. So in terms of here, this is ORMR. So off-road, O is for off, R is for road, MN is for maybe some sort of bicycle model. So you can view it this way. So it's basically single and also multi-view. And also there's going to be a variant where you can see whether is it aluminum wheel, carbon wheel, frame rate, and also black frame. Now you may see the different items category for different items category. They can see whether is it stock, non-stock. This is involved with warehouse. Okay, now routing. Routing is basically the, now if you notice here, let me see if, how am I supposed to go back? Okay, we are done with material and also bill of material. In terms of here, you just need to understand that material is the defined material that you have defined during material management. Bill of material is a list of material needed for the assembly. Routing, now we move on to routing. Routing is a template used for production order and run schedule, because currently in terms of here, it's not just in terms of the assembly part, but also you will know how long does the assembly is going to be running. So in terms of here, a series of sequential steps. Now, you're going to know what is going to be assembled, where is it going to be assembled, when is it going to be assembled, and how is going to be assembled. So here you can see this is an overview of step 1. So it's being assembled at this location, ASSY 1000. This is just a location code. How many minutes, and also the description of what is being done. So material is being put at the staging area, and then later on the same location, step 2, this is going to take around 1 minute, attach seat to frame. So basically this is step 2. Step 3, same location, 2 minutes, attach handlebar assembly, and then so on until the bicycle is being finished and being put inside its packaging. So operation, seat, the location, and also time. These are the information that is shown when you are assembling the bicycle for GBI. similar fashion. So basically, this is some of the data that you're going to be seeing inside the system later when you do your case study. So now we're moving into work center, the final master data for production planning. This is basically the physical data that is related to the physical location within a plant where work is being done. So it has data such as people or group of people, machines that are there, or group of machines, and also the assembly line. So if you want to understand more about production planning, one thing that you can do is basically go to YouTube and watch how it's made. It's something that is a show that is being produced by the Discovery Channel of different daily items and how it's being made in a factory, just to get the sense of what production planning is. But the thing is, you only going to see the physical work that is being done inside the factory. But all the strategic work, all the planning that is needed to be done, that is being handled by SAP. Okay, this is work center, some of the information that you have. If you want to look at it even further, you can go through it later. You have personnel data, costing data, scheduling, basic, capacity, those kind of data. Product group is basically you just group the material so that inside the SAP you can view a group of material rather than single items. Let's say, for example, during the case study that you're going to be doing for product planning, if you are doing it, then you're going to see individual bikes. There is white, black, and red. But then there is going to be one step with that. You're going to be grouping all those 3 bicycles into one group so that you can view it through one single view inside the SAP. Now, we're going to move in terms of process, planning, and execution. Now here, we're going to see forecasting, sales and operation planning, demand management, and 2 other things that is master production schedule and also material requirements planning. After the planning, then you may start the execution of the production. It's being called production order. Before, as you have already experienced inside SAP, before a physical execution of action is being done, there is usually an order that needs to be produced. Like for example, sales and distribution. Before the sales can be made, you need to prepare the sales order. Before a purchasing will be executed, you need to produce a purchasing order. Similar to production, before a production can be started, can be executed, a production order is in order, needed to be prepared. Now, let us have a look at the one down here first. Now, I would like to go this backwards, or basically afterwards, we're going to go this from top to bottom. But let us go, okay, let's go top to bottom first. Now, before you can start production, you need to basically forecast. This is in terms of for a large company, as usually for international company, before they can meet the demand that is needed by their customer, for this case is bicycle, they will need to forecast in terms of they need to predict how much bicycles do they need to produce to meet demands of the future. Depends on the future itself, whether is it 1 month from today, 2 months from today, a year from today. Depending on that, 10 years from today, they will need to forecast, because currently for big company, they need to handle big orders. Their customer is going to be buying 1,000 bicycles maybe a month. And then you need to handle the next month, another 1,000 bicycles. And then the coming month, another 1,000 bicycles. So you need to forecast on how much bicycles that is needed. It's not that in one day you can be producing 1,000 bicycles immediately. Producing bicycles will take time. So basically you need to break up your production line. It's not your production line, sorry. You need to break up your production schedule to see how much bicycle that you can produce daily to meet the demands of future customer order. So forecasting, and then you need to plan on how much sales and how much sales that is going to be done on future months, and also how much bicycles that is going to be produced, operations that need to be produced in each month or basically daily. Afterwards, you will send it to demand management. This is basically you're going to be, and before you can execute this part here, that is the manufacturing or basically the assembly of bicycle. You need to go through this process here: forecasting, sales and operation planning, demand management, master production scheduling, and also material requirements planning. Then you may start manufacturing execution and also order settlement. This is basically just to confirm that the production has been settled, is correct. We produce 150 bicycles as what we have planned. Depends on this one. This part here is basically for finished goods. This yellow part here is for finished goods. This is, for example, for trading goods, procurement process. You buy stuff and then you sell it immediately. This part here is the one that we are concerned for production planning. And this part here is the one that you're going to be doing inside your case study. Okay, so these are the different people that is involved with the strategic planning. And then you have detailing in terms of here, and also the execution here. These are all the people that is involved with during the production planning and execution. Now, let's talk about forecasting. Forecasting are always wrong. So why do you do it? So forecasting, yes, forecasting are always wrong. But this is just to make sure that the company, GBI, is prepared for what is coming on future months. So you need to forecast. Let's say, for example, based on previous year's sales, on May, sorry, we're not going to talk about May, on June. So the past 5 years, we are forecasting that this coming June, we're going to be selling 200 bicycles. So during the end of May, we need to make sure that the production line will be able to produce 1,000 bicycles for the June sales. So whether or not June is going to be selling 1,000 bicycles is not really sure, but you are preparing 1,000 bicycles just in case the sales are at 1,000. But forecasting is always wrong. Sometimes it's lower than that, sometimes it's more than that. Lower, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. More, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. But in terms of here, the optimum is basically it reaches as near as the forecasting value. Because currently, if you look at here, overstock and also understock is bad. It's considered as a loss of in profit. How come understock and overstock is understandable? Because currently you produce more than 1,000 bicycles, then it's not selling. So let's say, for example, you produce 1,000 bicycles, but then suddenly on that physical month at the end of June, only 100 bicycles is being sold. So it's bad. Why? Because currently you need to pay for storing those 900 bicycles that are not being sold. Still, it concurs costing. Money is still going out either way. Understock is understandable, which means that you loss of profit. You produce 1,000 bicycles, but then suddenly in June, 2,000 bicycles is needed. There are 2,000 bicycles supposed to be fulfilling the customer demand, but you are only selling 1,000, so profit is being lost. You can make extra money there. So forecasting can be depending on trends, and seasonal or constant. This is some of the forecasting model in SAP. Okay, so some of the information, where does the forecasting information come from, is basically based on sales, marketing, manufacturing, accounting, human resource, and also purchasing. This is from your own company, but also you can basically go inside the World Wide Web to see how much bicycles are being sold for the purpose of forecasting. So this is also another way. Usually, now we're moving on to sales and operation planning. So this is the, after you have forecast, you want to, this is the second part. After you already forecast, okay, we already know this is how much bicycles that is going to be selling on next month. So now we are inserting the actual sales plan. Okay, we're not going to follow exactly as what is being forecast. We need to provide a reasonable number. So let's say, for example, forecast 1,000. So let us plan from there. We're going to see, we are predicting that 1,000 bicycles are going to be sold, but let us plan, let us make it something that is much more manageable. So let's say, for example, we are planning on just 500 sales. Okay, maybe forecasting 1,000 seems optimistic. So basically, we're going to take it down a little bit. We're going to target around 500 sales. So we try to produce, okay, we try to produce around, just to make sure we meet in the middle. Forecast is going to be 1,000. Okay, we target sales 500. So let's say, for example, we try to produce around just 700 bicycles, just in case we met the sale of more than 500. And then you basically plan for capacity. Capacity planning is basically you just want to make sure that there is enough room for those materials for assembling the bicycle, and also there is enough capacity for keeping those bicycles. So forecasting, you have prediction, and then you need to plan on how much sales and how much production that is needed for future customer needs. Okay, so afterward is basically you have demand management. Demand management, this is the part where it's interconnect the SOP and also the MPS and MRP, strategic planning, and also the detailed planning. So if you look at here in the flow chart, basically this is the part you are planning, and then now you strategic planning, and then you are doing the detailed planning. So this is the part where you plan for your product manufacturing, but there is difference between these two. MRP is everything, every single product that your company produce. MPS are your most popular products, something that gives impact to the company, that is GBI. Let's say, for example, you have 4 bicycles: deluxe touring bike, professional, off-road, and also, let's say, for example, race bike, for example. So basically you have those 4, but then you notice that deluxe touring bike is your top selling. So you have to define master production schedule for your most popular product so that it can meet the overwhelming demands of future sales. MRP is for everything else, maybe chain locks, maybe gears, maybe chains. These are the normal item sales. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. It's just constant. MPS is for product that is really popular. So SAP handles those things. You have products that is popular in terms of their sales, and then you have products that is normal in terms of their sales. So demand management, this is the part where you're going to be checking on whether this thing plan on independent requirement and also customer requirement. You see whether is it okay or not, whether is it balanced between your forecast and your sales, so that you may put inside here your actual number of expectation, actual expectation. This is the one that is down to earth. Forecast is something that is over optimistic. And then when you move into MPS and MRP, you are down to earth. This is what the company is expecting in the real world. Because currently this will be impacting on how much of the materials that you're going to be ordering so that you can produce the number of bicycles. So planning strategy, you just plan on how much quantity that you're going to be producing, and also in terms of the days, because in terms of when you talk about production, is going to be fluctuating. It doesn't really stay the same on the coming month. This will be depending on your forecast. This is the reason why you have forecast, because you want to know when you need to produce more and also when you need to produce less. And then you plan for it, bringing it down a bit so that it's at the company expectation, and then you produce it. So you may have these two ways based on make to stock and also make to order. This is not important for now. Okay, you can skip on this. Okay, now we're moving on to master production schedule. Now, what is it? It's basically something that you produce, but you need to take note of it. Why? Because it is a hot selling item. Materials that have a strong influence on profit or use critical resources. That is master production scheduling. You need to make sure that products that are hot selling continue to be produced correctly and be able to meet the demand of the customer. This is the part that usually you are not looking at overstocking problem. This is usually not enough understock. Master production schedule. This is not to cater the problem of overstocking. This is to cater the problem of understock. And then we move on to material requirement planning. This is for everything. This is for your normal product, those products that are not selling, but still you need to produce. But you basically still need to produce it because customer will still, one or two customers will still buy those things, but it's not the hot selling stuff that the company produce. So material requirements planning is calculation the net requirement while considering available warehouse stock. This is basically you want to know, okay, this is when we talk about production planning in terms of MRP, we want to know how much material that you want to use for the production. So if you, okay, now in terms of here, basically we are talking about understock, overstock before the production. Material requirements planning. Understock or overstock before the production planning. Currently in terms of here, we are talking about, is there enough item to produce bicycles for future customer order? So what you want to do here is basically just to keep track of your stock, monitoring it, determine how much is needed, and also generate purchasing if there is not enough items. Okay, now this is the main part of material requirements planning, to ensure the availability of material, because currently if you don't have enough raw materials, which means that you cannot produce your finished good. If you cannot produce your finished good, then you are not making profit. In terms of here, if there is shortage, then this is what needed to be executed. There is going to be a graph that is going to be showing you how does your material requirements planning, production, costing, purchasing, everything is going to be handled. Procurement type, we're not going to be looking at this. Multi-level scheduling, we're not going to look at this. Consumption based and MRP, we're not going to have a look at this. Now, this is the part here. If let's say, for example, this here is stock count. Stock count in terms of your raw materials. Raw materials, what are the raw materials? The raw materials that you need to produce bicycles. So basically here, if you notice, you have enough. You have enough here. If you notice, this is constant, which means that your storage is at peak here for every month. This is, let's say, for example, on May, on June, on August. If you notice here, this is how much item that you have. So let's say that your production line is running. Okay, we are taking out all the raw materials to produce the bicycles. Okay, it's running low, running low, running low, running low, running low. But then when it's at half point of the materials that is having, you need to start reordering, which means that you need to purchase more materials for the next coming month. It's not for this part here, it's for here. Because currently, here, you still have another materials here. There is safety stock here. What is safety stock? This is just to make sure that your stock of raw material doesn't reach zero. If it reaches zero, which means that your production line will be on halt. It will stop. What happens when your production line is stopped? You are not producing bicycles. What happens when you're not producing bicycles? Customer cannot buy. What happens when customer cannot buy? You are not getting money. What happens when you're not getting money? You are running on losses. What kind of losses? You still need to pay for the rental of the factory. You need to pay for your staff salary. So if production stop, your staff is not doing anything, then but still you need to pay your staff. So we don't want those kind of problems. So you have this part here, you want to make sure that your stock is enough just to make sure that the next month of production can still run, even though it is with not enough stock. Similar with next month, after it's being done, you need to produce back. Starting after here is basically your vendor came and put all the raw material inside your warehouse. Okay, warehouse has been replenished. So basically, production line start back. Okay, running low. It's not running low. It's basically at the half point. So order back. So here, still being produced, still being produced. Vendor came and restock your raw materials. And then your stock is being replenished. So in terms of here, it's basically you just want to make sure that your stock is enough for your production line. So external, in-house, we can skip on this. Okay, now this is the process, the overview of manufacturing executions. You start with planning from here to here, and then you execute the production from here to here, and then you review back on the production. So before you can start on your production, you need to have a production order. So basically, when the production order is being executed, you will know how much of the bicycles what bicycles that is needed to be produced, how much of the bicycle that is needed to produce, location, where is it going to be produced, timeline from start till finish, work involved, resources that is needed, and how much is going to cost the company. Okay, so that is why we need production order, because currently in terms of each month you have different targets to meet. So basically, production order will basically detail out what are the targets that you're supposed to be meet. Maybe this month you're supposed to be producing 200 bicycles. Next month you're supposed to be producing 300 bicycles. So production order is a must. So if you look at here, what is needed to be produced, the XTR, the components, how is it going to be produced, how many, and also the timeline. So starts on 13, ends on 16 of April. It's going to be 3 days of production. So schedule, you're going to have a look at when is the date and also the capacity of the requirement. You may release on header and operational. This one will not really, this one is only on a need to know basis. Availability check, just to make sure that that the resources that are needed, your raw material, your work center, your people, everything are available and are in check. Okay, this one can be skipped. Shop floor documentation, material withdrawal. Before you can start, you need to place a reservation on what are the components that is needed. What are the components will be based on bill of material. Those are the list of components that is needed. And then everything here after reservation, then people will start moving your materials to the material staging location. After the production is being done, you monitor, you track, and then after it's being done, you confirm that the bicycles has been produced, whether is it on time, earlier, or late, with what problem, with what hiccups, with what performance issue. Those are the things that is the concern that can be handled by SAP. The physical production process is not really a thing unless it's fully automated. And then you good receipt just to make sure that after the production line is done, then you accept the product and then put it inside your warehouse for it to be sold to the customer. Order settlement, just to make sure that the actual cost that is being run and what is being planned is aligned, or there is some differences, whether is it costing more or costing less. Costing less is good, costing more is bad and need to be improved for future order. How does it cost more? Because maybe there are certain raw materials that has defect and cannot be used inside the production line. That will actually increases the cost of production, because currently there are certain things that cannot be used, for example. Okay, so that's it for production planning. So the rest is basically slides on innovation on SAP HANA. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording here. So I'm guessing